She's into Harley Davidsons, and I've been into Harley Davidsons most of my life. All the guys from 19 to 60 years old all envy me because I'm going to Cher tonight.
Once you're a fan, you're always a fan.
I've had just huge failures where my career is going, yes, 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 yes. No.
The world in solemn stillness lay. La-da-da-da-dee. La-da-da-da-da.
Even though she can be quite outlandish, she portrays a person that is one of the working people.
Where are you taking me?
To the bed.
Oh, God. Okay, I don't care. Take me to the bed.
I don't know why I did the things I did.
She reinvents herself with all her costumes and her makeup.
She can wear what we can't.
We share something in common by having a same type of career with husband, manager, and then separating and going out on our own and lasting.
She can dress like a teenager, she can sing like a teenager, she can outdance some teenagers.
She stood the test of time, that's for sure.
She's groovy, you know.
It's a distinctive voice. You know who it is right away, and you either like it or you don't like it right away.
Do you believe in love that you love? I can feel so good inside myself. I really don't think you're strong enough, no.
Now, with the success of Believe, Believe had its own life. And I mean, I came to London a year ago on October the 1st to start to push Believe, and it just never stopped.
Do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside me say, I really don't think you're strong enough, no. Do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside me say, I really don't think you're strong enough, no.
Were you surprised by the size of the hit?
Every time I played it, no matter who I played it for, I played it for my son, and he went, "Whoa, that's so cool! I want to use that on my album," you know. And no matter who I played it for, my mother, my son, my daughter, old people, you know, everyone really loved it. There's some songs that I've heard in my life that I knew that were going to be hits, but I didn't do that on "I Got You, Babe," because I actually told Son it's not one of his best songs.
The last time I was on Hullabaloo was about 3 months ago. And I had never heard of our next guest. In fact, very few people had ever heard of Mr. and Mrs. Salvador Bona, Sonny and Cher.
They say we're young and we don't know. We won't find out till we grow. Well, I don't know if all that's true, 'cause you got me, baby, I got you. I got you, babe. I got you, babe. They say our love won't pay the rent, for it's earned, our money's all been spent. I guess that's so we don't have a plot, but at least I'm sure of all the things we got. Babe, I got you, babe.
One day I came into my office and I walked through the reception area, and Sonny and Cher were sitting there. They were Caesar and Cleo then. You know, there was no Beatles or anything out like that. And seeing this fellow with hair down to here and this fur vest and fur boots, and she was in an Indian outfit. I went into my office, I rang the secretary, I said, "Who's that? What is that out there?" She said, "That's Caesar and Cleo. They do backup singing." I didn't think they were going to set the world on fire.
Stones came over. We met them, and they really liked us because they said that they couldn't relate to anybody there, and they said, "You should come to England. You're not appreciated here. You can't get on TV here. You should come to England. People wouldn't be afraid of you."
So On the advice of Jagger, you hooked everything and hightailed to London.
Yep.
Turned up at the Hilton Hotel.
Yep.
And were turned down.
Yes.
We don't want people like you in our hotel.
Right.
And a photograph outside. London station started playing you.
Yep.
And it just took off here.
Yeah.
I got flowers in the spring. I got to wear my ring. And when I'm sad, you're a clown. And if I get scared, you're always around. So let them say your hair's too long, 'cause I don't care. With you I can't go wrong. Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb. Babe, I got you, babe.
It was so tumultuous. Everything, we went from being no one and no one wanting to talk to us to just being kind of whipped up in a whirlwind and everyone wanting to see us and talk to us and take our picture and be on Top of the Pops and Ready, Steady, Go. And
But this is Swinging London 1965.
we went from nobody to, people just loving us.
Cher's mother was working as a walk-on model with Lucille Ball when Cher hit the big time.
I said, Lucy, my kid is about to knock the Beatles out of first place. And she said, who are you talking to? I said, my daughter, Cher. She said, you mean Sonny and Cher? And then she said, you go right now and call her and tell her to get over here. I want her to come to the stage right now because my kids want to meet her.
When I Got You, Babe went shot right to the top, it brought the rest of everybody that had anything on Sonny and Cher put it out. And the next thing you know, we had 7 songs in the top 50, and I think we had 3 in the top 10. She had diamonds and he got rings for her, everything they wanted, matching cars. They became really giants. We're now talking about millions of dollars.
What attracted you to Sonny Bono? You met him when you were about 16.
Oh, he just was, he walked in the door and everybody else just faded out of view. I'd never seen anybody like him.
He was Phil Spector's gopher at the time, wasn't he?
No, he hadn't risen that high yet.
Just the sight of him, I mean, with the way he was dressed, for instance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was years before the Beatles, and he had that kind of a haircut. Beautiful hands, Cuban high-heeled boots, and this unbelievable smile, and not handsome at all. He was the most unusual person I'd ever seen.
Hold my hand and you got me going. Kiss my lips and my mind starts glowing. We got a thing that won't stop cooking. You turn me on. Just by looking, you can make me strong. Just by sighing, you can break my heart. Just by...
I mean, that was it. She was 16 and I didn't think she was ready to, get into a serious relationship.
He didn't think much of me. I was just the kid. And I mean, I had no body at that time to speak of, and it wasn't popular yet to be as thin as I was, so... And also I lied to him. He had no idea how old I was. And then finally he let me move in with him, and he had separate, he had twin beds, and we slept in them.
So when did that change? When did he decide that you were more than... He said something wonderfully gallant. He needed someone to clean, and he wasn't particularly attracted to you.
That's true.
Well, irresistible, really.
Yeah. Actually, he said clean and cook, but I didn't know how to cook. So I said I could clean, and I kind of looked at him. He said, "Look, I don't find you particularly attractive," and I was really hurt by that because I thought in a way that it was a kind of a come on, I thought, but it wasn't. But I grew on him.
What do you do all day? I can't get a home-cooked meal.
Look, you knew when you met me I wasn't the domestic type.
Then you went to work with Philip Spector. Was that through Sonny?
Yeah, I was just hanging out with Son, and one night Darlene didn't show up, and Philip looked at me, and he was getting really cranky. Philip was not one to be kept waiting. And he said, Sonny said, you can sing. And so as I was trying to qualify what I felt, my expertise was, he said, look, I just need noise, get out there. And that was...
So you started as noise?
Yeah, I started as noise, and And that was Be My Baby.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, with the Ronettes, to start as Noise with the Ronettes, that's not bad, though.
Right.
If you're going to start as Noise.
And I ended up as Noise on, except at that point I was no longer Noise. But the last song I did for Philip was You've Lost That Love and Feeling.
Yeah.
You're trying hard not to show it, but baby, I know it. You lost that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. You lost that love and feeling. Now it's gone.
Didn't you sing a song about Ringo, I Love You?
That was my first.
And what was the name he gave you, Philip?
Bonnie Jo Mason.
Bonnie Jo Mason.
Philip thought that all girl acts should have very American names. And so, but the radios wouldn't play it because they said it sounded like a guy singing Ringo, I Love You. And so that wasn't happening.
So it sounded like a gay love song.
Yes.
Ringo. Yeah.
She had an innocence about her. She didn't know much about anything streetwise or whatever like that, and totally dedicated to Sonny. Sonny was like, I mean, sometimes she was like a puppet. He just pulled the strings.
He wanted me to stay 16 forever. And he wanted, because when I was 16, I thought that the sun rose and set, right off of his ass. And whatever he said, I just took.
But with the Vietnam War and the new drug culture, Sonny and Cher began to look old-fashioned, and the fans drifted away. And you actually think that Sonny standing there saying no to drugs was one of the big contributory factors?
Well, I mean, our record sales kind of plummeted and attendance at our concerts dropped. And we were just looked upon as too cute and too unreal and too uncool. We were married at a time where people now wanted to start living together. So the thing that had made us kind of cool in the beginning, married people that were really happy together and really loved each other, that was one of the things that contributed to our success, also then contributed to our demise.
In a desperate attempt to re-establish credibility with the fans, Sonny decided to plow all their money into a movie.
Stove works, burner works, and the sink works, and the salt and pepper works.
It wasn't a very good film.
Your house works.
Sonny put all of his money into chastity.
And that sent you on the road, didn't it?
Yeah, we owed the government $276,000, something that seemed like an awful lot in 1969. And it just sent us out working in nightclubs with grown-ups.
How did that go?
Whoa. I'd rather have needles stuck in my eyes. It was terrible. They hated us. I mean, they hated us before, and they hated us worse then, and we didn't really know how to work to them. And we were used to walking on on stage in front of 25,000 people and just having everybody love us, and now we were having to be in these horrible flea bag nightclubs where you had to do 2 shows a night every night. We didn't do very well. Out of boredom, we started talking to each other, and I started to make jokes to make the band laugh. I mean, we were trying to, there was no sign of life in the audience. And one night, the head of CBS came and saw the show and gave us a summer replacement show, and we got the Sonny and Cher show.
What do you think, you're living with a dummy, huh? You think
I never said this was living. Dummy.
It was kind of like Monty Python, but not as sophisticated, but we just did insane sketches, and we had like really famous people come on.
It's made up exactly in my image.
Even the same size.
Thank you, Sonny and Cher. That it was the #1 variety show for 3-4 years, and they just went sky high. There was no looking back after that.
How would you like being married to a sex symbol?
Terrific, but I'd miss you now and then.
Gold! I've got gold nuggets!
In this kind of weather, everybody gets cold nuggets.
The success of the TV show also revitalized Cher's recording career.
I was born in the wagon of a traveling show. My mama had to dance for the money they'd throw. Papa would do whatever he could. Preach a little gospel, sell a couple bottles of Dr. Good. Gypsies, tramps, and thieves would hear it from the people of the town. They call it gypsies, tramps, and thieves. But every night all the men would come around and lay their money down. Picked up a boy just south of Mobile, gave him a ride, filled him with a hot meal. I was 16, he was 21. Rode with us to Memphis. Papa would have shot him if he knew what he'd done.
I always had songs going at the same time with Sonny and Cher. They were huge hits.
Yeah. Were these feeding on the TV show? Is this building up the double career and managing to run both?
Right. It was hard for me because Son could work much harder than I could.
I told Sonny, a lot of times she got sick on the road, and I said, I think it's lack of, she doesn't do anything, she don't get any air.
When we weren't doing the TV show, which was really difficult, we were on tour.
He just wanted to keep her away from everybody, except come out, do the show, and then that was it.
He had so much stamina. He was much more the driven one of us.
Oh, pretty! Oh, pretty!
Till death do us part. What was I thinking of? I'm having the time of my life. On with the humor.
It didn't start to really bother me until after I had chastity. And I thought I was a grown-up then, you know. I was 22, but I still was starting to want to make decisions and not being treated like a child.
If she'd ask me certain things about the business or stuff like that, if I told her, then Sonny had a fit.
You know nothing about business.
I don't care anything about business.
It started and kind of ended with a stupid thing. I wanted to learn how to play tennis. And one of our managers told Sonny that there were lots of men at my teacher's house, and Son threw away all my tennis clothes and said, anything that a husband and wife can't do together shouldn't be done. And I said, well, then come and learn how. And he said, I don't want to, I'm not interested. And it just something broke there. And the moment that we broke up, he took up tennis and he became a tennis maniac. Tennis maniac. Loved it. And it hurt a lot of people's feelings that we got divorced. You know, it bothered people.